And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Mono Valley Theater Live, episode 46. Yeah. I'm Devin. I am your MC host guy for this Aloha Friday. Thank you very much for joining us. I would like to begin by introducing Janine. Janine is our production manager. Brand new production manager.
Nice to see you.
Hello. How are you?
I'm pretty good today. It's a Friday afternoon and
Yes.
lovely, sunny and rainy. We'll probably got some rainbows out there somewhere. Although I can't see any from my house, so hopefully somebody has some somewhere.
Yes, indeed. So, Ms. Myers, what is going on with Mono Valley Theater?
All right. Well, we actually have things going on, which is super exciting because a year ago we were, heading into production for Desperate Measures, and then everything stopped. But now we have Ron Artis coming up March 6th and 7th. He's doing 4 shows with us, kind of on a club schedule. I believe the early show on Friday is sold out, and the rest are starting to run low. So head to the box office, either give them a call or jump online, get your tickets there. We have a super fun 2-man show called Popcorn Falls opening up on March 18th. So just under a month away, and that's directed by Rob Duvall, who is the master at those kind of shows. He did Bastard Will and 39 Steps with us, which are in a similar vein of a small cast and a huge cast of characters. So that's March 18th. You can go jump online, get your tickets. We have auditions because we have more things happening. We have auditions for Tiny Beautiful Things on March 21st and for Daddy Longlegs on May 1st. So we are jumping back into things. Most of these upcoming productions are going to be in person with as big of an audience as we are allowed to have given the COVID restrictions that we're under, and they will also be streaming. So there's a couple ways to watch depending on your comfortability level and where we are with COVID. So I hope to see you at the theater soon.
Yeah, I hope to see you guys there too.
Electronically, virtually online, like we have been for almost a year.
However you do it, please support the theater if you can. Give and I actually got to see Waiting for the Host last weekend during that last weekend. Great show, man.
Yeah,
kudos to the cast. It was incredible.
They did a great job.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so Janine, we can't wait for our guests to show up. So I'm gonna send you back. And we're going to get the guests on in just a second. So, Janine, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to bring these ladies on. They're all very accomplished in their fields. They're super nice ladies. Even you, Miss Anna. And I want to bring them on right now. And actually, I'm going to bring them on and just sort of stand out of the way because I get the feeling this show will be no longer mine once we bring them on. So please welcome Anna Foster, Deanne Kennedy, and Janine Myers.
Nice dig, Devin.
Thank you very much.
Way to put your guest at ease.
I know. Now, these three ladies are known for every kind of visual aspect of a production. You got set design, you got costume design, you got projections, you got lighting design. They've done it all, and they are leaders in the field. They've been that way for kind of a long time, and I am personally spoiled because all of the shows that I've done with I'm a Bright Kid, pretty much you guys have been in charge of. So I get your talents and amazingness in the last three shows that I've done. So it's been kind of cool. And I'm not just buttering up because it's the three of you here, but maybe a little bit.
Sure.
All right. So it is nice to have you all here at once. I'm gonna sort of go in order if you don't mind, and get your stories if that's cool. So I'm gonna start with Miss Anna. Miss Anna, you are sitting there in front of a whole bunch of costume stuff. So
I am in a very messy costume shop right now,
which is how it's supposed to be. So
it should always be messy.
Exactly. Can you give us some of your background and how we got you here?
Let's see. I've been doing theater since I was in college, which was years ago. And I actually started in tech theater in building sets and designing sets. I was technical director on a couple of shows in college and then in a couple of places in New Mexico. And I started doing some shows for a friend of mine here where I was designing sets and costumes costumes kind of spoke to me, and I've kind of moved in that direction a lot, but I still keep my fingers in the pie of doing sets and projections. I do a lot of projections now because I'm also a photographer, and I feel like all of these things are the same thing. It's all the same design process. It's just different tools that I use to accomplish it. And I'm originally from New York City, and I've been here since about 2001 with a little break, where the Army decided to send us away for a little while. But yeah, and now I'm the assistant costume designer. Yeah, back.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Deanne, how about you? How do we get you here?
I was actually designing on the mainland and managed to find out that UH was hiring. So I was designing at a regional theater in California before coming over here, and then came over and taught at UH for 2 years as the assistant scenic design professor. And then I spent a year mostly freelancing before catching a job, a part-time thing, working as an exhibits designer for the Aviation Museum over at Pearl Harbor. So,
wow.
Yeah, and my history of doing theater is I started when I was in middle school, and then I took some tech theater classes in high school and was like, this is it. this is what I want to do. Went to college at University of Northern Colorado, got my bachelor's there, and then went to University of Illinois for my master's.
Wow. Okay. And just been working steadily ever since. All right. All right, Miss Janine.
Yes,
give us
sir.
the lowdown. Give us
All
the
right.
lowdown, please.
Well, I've been back on island since about 2002. Jumped in working as a tech with Honolulu Theater for Youth. Like I'm gonna say, like 3/4 or more of the techs on island. I was at HTY for a couple years. Left them because I wanted to do more of my own design work, and I've been pretty much working as a working designer, electrician around town ever since. I got started in theater really in elementary school, but they put me on stage a lot because there was not much in the way of tech and I could memorize lines. I haven't been voluntarily on stage since about junior year of high school. I got into tech and specifically lighting design in high school at Punahou, actually. So Anna knows where I've been working. I'm just upstairs from her. And I've been doing lights and been backstage as a stage manager and a lighting designer and follow spot operator and master electrician and all sorts of things ever since.
Yes, I think that's kind of been all three of you. It's been your thing, is that you're Jills of all trades. You guys can do just about everything. It's whenever there's a problem with a show, it's like, one of you come help fix this. And one of you has the skills to get it done. I was curious, because you've worked together for so long on so many shows. I mean, is that unusual for an all-women crew to be doing this? Because we made a big deal out of it because we thought it was really cool. But for you individually, I mean, have you had a lot of opportunities to do that?
I think it's
Any one of you can take it. I'm sorry.
And then we're silent.
Anna, yes. And Anna, why don't we start with you?
I think that it can be unusual. I've been lucky enough to have it happen a couple of times. I don't think it's unusual here on this island, but on the mainland, it's much more unusual because tech theater is definitely a male-dominated society. And to run into three people who, the coolest thing that we have is we collaborate well together and we play off of each other's idea. There's not a lot of ego between us. Like, we're confident in what we're doing, but if one of us comes up with a good idea, we're fans of each other. So it just works out really well that we synchronize really well with each other's skills. But we are definitely lucky that we're in a place where there are a lot more women in tech theater.
There definitely are. I think Anna's right. On the mainland, just even when I was going to school, there were a lot less women in the tech side of the theater department. Me and my best friend were kind of it for our year. Everybody else was on the acting side. So it's really nice to be able to work on the small island with a high proportion of women designers who are awesome at it.
Yeah. Deanne, what about you? Did you have have you worked with a lot of women crews?
Not necessarily. I think it's mostly, like they said, when you're on the mainland, it is much more male dominated. And then kind of particularly being here, not only are there just like, it seems to be a few more of the ladies being involved in tech, but also I think we gravitate towards each other. Like Anna said, because we're such big fans of each other and we know what each other can bring to the table, we kind of sort of gravitate towards things where we get to work together as well. So I'm way more likely to say something if either one of them, like, oh yeah, I want to be involved. Anna's there or Janine's there, like, sign me up.
Same here. If I know that either one of these other two are going to be working on a project, I'm that much more likely to say yes if somebody asks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you're a director and you're watching this, keep that in mind.
You can get
right?
all
You
three
grab
of
one
us
of these ladies.
getting one.
Yeah, it's like it's a package deal. That's awesome, actually, because that's
Not three
Three
for the
things
price of one.
No.
no. Don't worry. We're not cutting your price. Yeah, 3 for
There
1.
you go.
Don't worry. I had a question also. what's it been like working in the Hawaii theater scene, because it is so small? Everybody kind of knows everybody. How have you? How has working here sort of affected your work? Deanne, what do you? What do you got?
It's interesting. I actually find that when I was on the mainland, I was almost exclusively design. Sometimes I would paint, but mostly exclusively design. But coming out here, I do a lot more different stuff. So in order to stay involved in theater, I'll end up building more things or painting shows for other people's designs, which I love painting. I'm super happy to do that. But I think that's almost even an exciting aspect of being here, is that I still get to use all of my other skills, my painting skills, my building skills, my sewing skills. Whereas, on the mainland, I wasn't doing that as much, but I do every once in a while hop back over to the mainland and do some shows there a couple times a year, except for last year.
Well, hopefully that'll pick up again this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ginny, what about you?
Well, I've never done theater professionally outside of Honolulu, so I can't really speak to what it's like anywhere else. I know that we've sort of got a big fishes, small pond thing going on here, where if there's projects, we'll be a lot more likely to get a call for them than if we were in a much larger city with a much bigger talent pool. So it keeps us busy, which is good. At least it did until about a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Miss Anna, how about you?
I think that, since it's such a small community, one of the cool things is once you've developed your reputation, I don't have to have met people for them to know my work and to kind of know my work ethic and ask for me, even if we haven't interacted on a show before. And it works super well if you have a good work ethic and you're pleasant to be around. Not so good if you irritate.
And those two things that aren't necessarily mutually exclusive.
That's true.
Like big work ethic and good to be around, fun to be around.
So luckily I haven't damaged my reputation here yet, and people are still asking for me.
Now, I have to go back to probably Children of Eden, because that seems like the biggest one that the three of you kind of collaborated on. I mean, and for those of you who never saw the show, you missed out.
We have some pictures too.
The costume, yes, we do have some pictures. And it was. We started with the Wiz. We'll start with the Wiz, yeah. So that one
The Wiz was our first large-scale collaboration with the three of us over at Poliku Theater with the Bright Foundation, and we got to create a whole world basically, and that was really fun and exciting.
I know. Actually, I remember sitting in the cast room when we had when you guys first showed us the drawings, and the three of you were so happy. You were just the joy of getting to work together was so big for the three of you. It was awesome to see, because you're such big fans of each other. You're like, oh my gosh, you like, I don't know. It was. You
gotta see this thing. You gotta see this thing. Actually, it was really cool being involved in particularly the Wiz, because I think it was the first time we'd almost been given free range. We'd already, in our own individual ways, kind of, showed what we were capable of. And so the Brights were like, okay, we're just going to let you come up with this idea. And the three of us, collaborated really well, and we had a really tight aesthetic. So we were able to kind of present this really unified design, and we kind of just keep doing that, don't we?
Yeah. We're lucky enough that the I'm a Bright Kid Foundation trusts us and lets us dream big. And you can see, when we're watching, we really play off of each other. We have a lot of meetings before we get to the point that we're with everybody in a room. And we just have such a good time doing the pure design work. Which a lot of times we don't have that time. We don't have the luxury of just spending time designing and dreaming. And we get to do that before we get into the casting and how it's going to end up finally on stage.
Well, I mean, the thing about working with Children of Eden is there were so many people on stage, and you had to right, that we'd ever seen, and you had to light all those people. Some of us, I mean, there were like 30, 40 people on stage at once, and Janine's got to light people
47,
over in a
47. Yeah.
But we're standing in the corner.
All in clothes.
Right. And then they all had to wear the right clothes. And then, Deanne's got to make a set that's big enough that it covers everybody. Right. And then you guys then pivot to this show, Songs for New World, which is, 6 people in the cast, 7 people in the cast, which is so different. But yet it seemed to be at least as complicated as Children of Eden. In some ways simpler, but in some ways much more complicated because you had less people. So, the aesthetic was still the same. Like you guys had to get together and figure it all out. And I marveled at it. It was amazing. Sorry, this is going to be just appreciation, Anna, Janine, Deanne appreciation show. So I don't even really have questions. I just want to sit here for like half an hour and go,
Tell us more good things about us, Devin. Keep going. Okay.
Well, I think it's just, I was so fortunate to be in the shows working with you, and to have Miss Anna. I remember when you did the Wiz, you're like, well, we're gonna kind of do this thing, and I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but the idea is that you're gonna be lit, but I don't know, it may work, it may not work, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then Janine's like, and then we're gonna light from here and here, and there's this thing gonna happen, and Deanne's like, and then I'd see Deanne like at, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night when we're like all alone on the stage, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's painting stuff, and this is going to go here, and I could not envision it. And then I don't know, somehow it would appear. So my question is to you,
by the magic of
it
theater.
is, it totally is, it's the magic of these 3 ladies.
Not hundreds of hours and millions of volunteers. That's not it. It's magic.
Well, I guess the question is, so a picture like this that you see, I mean, do you sit there and go, okay, this is what we need to do, and how are we achieving it?
I mean, yes.
That's our job.
Yes, it's come up with the idea, build this world, and then work out the specifics of what we have to do physically to make those ideas a reality. And how to turn a theater that you're used to seeing with a proscenium and black curtains and legs and a cyc in the back, how to turn that into a different world so that the audience is walking into something that they don't necessarily expect.
And so I want to take Children of Eden just because that one was sort of the biggest.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was the biggest bite that you guys had of the apple, to make a bad pun. But there were so many moving parts to that. I know Deanne was making scenery or background stuff that was huge. I mean, it was gigantic. Because I remember walking on stage one day and they said, "Look up, take a look at what Deanne painted up there." Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. I mean, because the lines on the stage matching the lines that were going above us, the way things were turning. And then for you, Janine, to have to light all of that. I mean, how many hours of meeting is that? Because there's also, 40 actors on stage, and you got to light us too. 47. Sorry. That's right. I don't remember because she had to dress us all. But, I mean, I'm flabbergasted by how you designed this. So, Deanne, you come up with, okay, we're going to do circles. I mean, what is the deal here?
So just a little insight into kind of what some design meetings are like. We sit down, usually at Janine's house, because it's a great space. Coffee, scones. It's beautiful. It's delightful. Okay. We sit down and we have all this visual research, and we have emotional reactions to the script. We have I'm like, oh my gosh, that thing that you're capable of doing, Janine, with your lighting, and I want you to do side light because when you do dance lighting, you're so good at it. And so we know the skills that other people are bringing to the table. And when we sit down, we're like, okay, Children of Eden, we're starting in darkness. So that's really like light focus. So let's talk about what the light means in the space. Let's talk about what Janine needs. Let's talk about how I can create depth in order to get this sense of a whole world happening. And then we start talking about what the visual coalescence of it all is going to be, showing some of our visual research, and we bounce off of each other and we start identifying along the way, like that seems really important, or we all seem to kind of lean towards those colors, or we really like the feeling of that in relationship to how it relates to telling the story specifically. And then a lot of times we talk about what kind of textures do we want on stage, because we want to make sure that the costumes really pop and that Janine's lighting can catch them, but without making them get lost in the set. So I don't want to make my set so chaotic that you can't see all 47 people. And so you're able to kind of collaborate amongst each other and really talk about how we're trying to tell the story and support the storytelling, so that the story itself and what the performers are doing is really highlighted, without kind of going overboard. Because if we're doing something where we're really distracting from the story, then that means we're getting a little too excited about the design stuff. So we always come back to like, what's the important thing? And we're all actually really good at keeping the integrity of that. Because there's times when I'll be at the theater at like 12:30 at night, and Anna's there, and we've had like 5 pots of coffee, and we're like, Anna, I want to do this thing, but I don't know. I'm like getting this thing. And she's like, well, what about our design concept? And what about the story? And so we always kind of check each other. And we always kind of, what's funny is I think Anna keeps me in check, but Janine and I were like, we could add lights to this.
Let's put twinkle lights all over the scenery.
I know. I was like, Janine, please, can we please put lights in this? Please. So yeah, kind of our initial design meetings, they're just this lush, intellectual, emotional conversation where we respect what is important to each other so that we can kind of incorporate it all. And we also make sure that like if the director has like this specific idea or thing that we need to kind of support, that's a big part of how we kind of talk with each other. And it all kind of stems from there. It's really kind of beautiful.
I did have a question for the three of you. Do you all agree that there was one scene, one part of a show that the three of you have done together that you went, holy crap, I don't know how we're going to do this? And I'm sure you said different words besides holy crap.
Every scene, every costume, every one of the cool things.
The stones, that's not sure.
I think we dream big and we come up with these gigantic, beautiful images and concepts, and then we walk away from the meeting when everybody's going, "Oh, I can't wait to see it." I'm going, I wonder if I can make that. How am I going to do that? And that's actually being at that edge of being inspired and being a little scared. That's a really cool place to be as an artist to really like, because it forces you to expand. And I think if you stay safe all the time, you know exactly how you're going to do every single thing, then you're not trying something new. You're not growing your skills. You're not really reaching. And boy, do we reach. And for me, let's see, I think the onstage transformation of the Winkies was a challenge. That was 14 people transitioning into a full costume within 8 bars. No, I think it was 4 bars of a song. And that was a challenge. And I kind of had an idea, but it was one of the last things I did. So it's a challenge.
Janine, what about you as far as lighting? Was there something that you saw in one of the shows that the three of you did together that you went, holy moly, how am I going to do this? How am I going to light these?
I think probably all of the edging on the moving platforms for the Wiz was a design and also a technical challenge, because we had these enormous platforms that rolled around the stage, and then when they were off stage, they like rotated 360 degrees so they could come back on the different side. So I couldn't do any wires or anything. So we had to research how to use batteries and inverters and wireless DMX, and hours drilling little holes so that we could run rope light in and out of stairs. So I think that just in terms of the challenging, the technical aspect of it, like saying, yes, this would be so cool. okay, now how do we do it? How do we actually make that vision come to life?
Didn't you end up using motorcycle batteries for the power source?
I think it was motorcycle batteries with an inverter and a wireless DMX thing, like tied into the loop, and a clip light inside that actually would make them dim, because otherwise they just pop on at like 80% and they're bright and there's no subtlety. And I always like to add some subtlety to my lighting where I can have it.
That's amazing. All right, and Dan, what about you as far as building the sets? Was there anything that you looked at and went, "Wow, this is like, I got to figure this out. I don't know."
Yeah, actually, it was that scene from all of them. The scene from the Children of Eden where we had the stones. There's two kind of major visual things that happened that were particularly out of the norm for the whole set. And it was the big stones and then the arc. And so for the stones, I had this notion that kind of my design concept for that whole show was that everything would come from inside of the set. Everything was kind of already existing. So how do I make these big stones come out of the set? And I designed the lids to like flip up and then flip up again. And then of course, like I do, I'm like, hey, Janine, I think you're so pretty today. Can you put some lighting in the set? You know? And so yeah, I had this idea of having them be backlit. So that kind of this idea of their size and the weight of them and even the backlighting could give them such a strong presence, and really trying to figure out how to get it to fold in on itself and be standable, because we had 47 people, so each one had to have enough structure inside to hold it closed when it was down, and then be stable enough to stand up on its own when it was open, and have lighting instruments inside of
and
the
spin around.
Yeah, so again with the wireless. But then,
And light enough that Devin could take one of those and lift it with somebody helping him. Because I went, wait,
Do we
I have to lift
for that transition, Devin?
It's like,
right?
Not
"Hey,
enough
Devin,
time.
you get the stone," and I'm like, "What?" And with your daughter too, I know it was crazy.
That's right. She was your
so-
partner.
Yes, she was. I felt so bad for her.
The only girl on
I
that
can't
whole
believe-
transition. I just have to say.
She was amazing. She was amazing. Okay, so I can't believe it. We're almost out of time. So I don't mean to rush through this, but for me, I want to know: is there something the three of you have agreed? Okay, if we get a chance to do this show, this is the show we want to do. Because I know y'all have sat around and had that conversation.
I
Should
want
I
to
count to three? Should I count to three and just you all yell out one, or see if it's all the same?
There is one that we all want to do.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we want to do Chicago.
we want to do Chicago.
We want to do
Oh.
Chicago. So any theaters who are listening in on this, if you can get the rights to Chicago, we will design your show for you.
Yes, we will.
Is there a reason why you're all inspired by Chicago?
The aesthetic. We
Yeah.
could do a lot of really cool things with the aesthetic of that show.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think with how Janine is capable of lighting things in such a close space that we could get a lot of depth and texture, and the kind of aesthetic that Anna brings in with her costumes, with the really like the textures and the personalization of each little piece, and the fact that it's like a black and red show.
Exactly.
So I'd like to do that.
Yeah, we want to do Chicago.
We want to do that.
Okay, Chicago it is. Somebody, theater gods somewhere.
Put that out
Make
to
sure
the-
make sure you
Yeah,
make
of
that
course,
happen.
If they released Wicked, the rights to Wicked, I totally be on board for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
that would be fun too.
that'll be okay too. All
If
right.
I'm putting things out in the universe, I just want that one to be spoken.
Well, you know what I realized, Janine. Usually, this is the part where I bring like Kip back on, and then we talk for like
Right.
5 more minutes. But he's not here.
He's
I
not
got
here.
you here, so we don't have to worry. We can just keep going. Yeah, which is awesome. Okay, so
What if Manoa did Chicago?
I
Do you know
know.
a person there?
I don't know. I think I know people who work there.
I'm available.
Well, okay. I one other question for you, and is how have you been handling the COVID thing? Because you're all three of you are so creative. All three of you are so driven. How have you been getting along during this time? Janine?
I've been baking a lot. I've been making a lot of bread and a lot of bagels. I haven't quite gotten on the sourdough train the way a lot of people have, which is not to say I don't have a container of sourdough starter on my kitchen counter all the time, which goes into my bagels. But I'm not making traditional sourdough. But yeah, we've been doing bagels. My husband Louie and I, at the beginning of this whole pandemic, I think starting in like the beginning of April of 2020, we started doing bagels a couple times a week and making batches of like up to 72. It was nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. We've sort of scaled back since then. We're doing bagels every other week now. So it's a little more reasonable.
Okay.
Because I've got other things going on now.
Just a couple.
A couple things.
Yeah, what about you? What have you been up to?
I was doing some exhibits over at the Aviation Museum at Pearl Harbor, which was really great, and getting new planes over there. But then since then, I've also been doing like renovations and stuff. So I'm actually in a condo right now that I've designed for rental purposes, and I'm doing the renovation and installing the accent walls and doing all of the furniture design. And so it uses a lot of my design skills that I already have. Also my skills for finish work and paint and all the kind of stuff that I know how to do. And it's exciting. It's not theater and it's not the same kind of collaboration, but yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of that as well.
Oh, okay. Well, you could always have Janine come over and say, where can I put some lights? Miss Anna, what about you? What besides the Punahou thing? I mean,
I'm very lucky that I have a job here at Punahou, and they've kept us on and are supporting us. And we have reimagined some of our theater, as everybody has. So we just finished doing variety show, and variety show that Punahou does is the senior class, and this year it was 250 students from the senior class in a show, but we can't have an audience, so we filmed it over a couple of months before Christmas, and so we did some costuming for that, and I also put on a production manager hat and was assistant production manager for that, keeping all the spreadsheets up to date. And we've been doing a couple of independent projects here for seniors. So we've been doing a little costuming for that. And then I stay busy. I create things.
Always.
Whatever I can create, whatever I can get my hands on. I've been doing some crochet and some drawing and painting and renovating my house, and
they ladies and gentlemen, they never stay still, and we love them for it. So ladies, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I actually thought I was just going to basically go, Anna, Janine, Deanne, that's the show. Okay, I'm going to step over here while you guys talk story, but I appreciate you letting me be a part of your show. Please make sure you support Manoa Valley Theater. Ladies, I can't wait to work with you all again, because you're all awesome. And I hope we get to do a Bright Foundation show or a Manoa Valley Theater show or something again soon. Janine, did you have anything you needed to add?
Just head over to manoavalleytheater.com, click the donate button, buy some tickets, come see a show, and let's keep the arts alive here.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week for more Manoa Valley Theater Live.